Hana, guess what? What? What, Megami? I'm a munch. Thank you to our final patrons, Strawbones, Redville4765, Midnight Gemlord, Sean, and Artgoon. And a great big thank you to our $25 patron, Alex Ice Rose. Now, we were on this breakdown and review of chapter 213 of Jujutsu Kaisen. Please don't forget to leave your own on the chapter in the comments section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, hit that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, you do have a Patreon down below. You support as low as $1 a month, and exclusive videos, early content, and more. You can also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the live reaction to this very chapter. Now, let's hop into Chapter 213. What's up, guys? All the pencil here we are to chapter 213 of Jujutsu Kaisen, which is known as Cursed Blank Under Heaven, Part 5. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe we must now add a new person to the contention for strongest in the verse, because Angel / Hana, they are indeed up there. However, enough of that, let's hop right to the chapter itself. So we open up and we get an interesting shot of Sukuna, sort of explaining the entire plan with Megami that he's been cooking ever since he met him, literally over 100 chapters ago. Maybe even, let me think, maybe even over 200 chapters ago at this point. I think it was very early on where Sukuna met Megami. I think it was like chapter 8 through 11, sometime in that time period is when they met. So Sukuna's been cooking this for a hot minute, like a hot minute, like a minute so hot it might as well be 2 minutes. And we see that he explains something very interesting that has me theorizing. That day, what I sensed from Fushiguro Megami was his curse technique's potential and his capacity to suppress me. It posed a problem if he turned out to be a cage, just like that brat, instead of a vessel. I could have just made Fushiguro swallow a finger, but to ensure full control over his body, I had to wait and recover my power in that brat's body, up until the right moment. The moment Fushiguro Megami's soul shattered. And this is very interesting. I wonder why, and I wonder how common it is. Because notably, like, I believe it was described as a 1 in a million chance to even, like, survive ingesting a Sukuna finger. That's why before we got the whole revelation about kenjaku, it was such a crazy thing that Itadori managed to eat it, get a whole bunch of benefits, and still hold back Sukuna without, like, fully transforming into him, even after consuming more and more fingers. It was pretty darn crazy that Sukuna just couldn't hijack him. But apparently Megami also had this potential too. Seemingly entirely organically as well. I just think due to the timelines, it wouldn't make sense for Fushiguro Mama to be kenjaku again. Like, unless he split his brain in half and was like half half Yuji Mama, half Fushiguro Mama. I don't think that could work out. But we do know that there is a very special case of the body and the soul being intertwined within JJK. Like, remember all the way back to the conversation that Kenjaku had with Mahito after the sealing of Gojo, after Geto revealed himself to still somehow be within the body, even though his brain and arguably his soul was pretty much gone. When Mahito says, oh, the soul and body are separate, I just mold the body around the soul, Kenjaku shrugs and laughs and actually thinks that the body and soul are much more intertwined than one would actually believe. And thusly, it could lead to freak situations. This is even complimented on by Gege in an external material, where he talks about how if Kenjaku tried to take Toji's body, you know, let's say he heals it, and then try to put his brain in there, the heavenly restriction would actually interfere. Toji's body was such a strange case, Toji's soul was such a strange case, that he ended up being a problem for even Kenjaku, a man with 1,000 years of experience of hopping bodies. So that's at least 10 bodies that he's had, but I'm pretty sure we can all be confident that he's had more. So with that being the case, it's interesting to think that Megami may have indirectly inherited some of his father's own weird resistance to possession. Like, the ability to suppress another soul, a soul as powerful as Sukuna's no less, seems extremely unique, on top of the idea of just surviving ingesting a Sukuna finger at all. So, a 1 in a million chance may as well be 1 in a billion, But considering Megami is the son of the Fate Breaker himself, it actually kind of makes sense that his body, due to the whole idea, if we believe that the soul and body are unified, if his body, even if able to express cursed energy and contain a cursed technique, still had properties of the heavenly restriction that made him very hard to possess, very hard to override. His soul and body data is just so high level and so complex that a soul as powerful and complex as Sukuna couldn't casually overwhelm it until the soul was broken by a mental break. Very, very interesting. I wonder if any of this is going to be explored further. Like, if we're ever going to get any more discussion on what Megami's body and its potential actually was or is. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not sure how we're going to really save Megami at this point. And by the time we do, I highly doubt we're going to have time to explore that anymore. But I do think it is still pretty interesting considering the implications of it. Like, the idea that Megami always had the potential to be a vessel for Sukuna, even though he himself didn't believe he could. And not just a vessel, but a cage is very, very interesting. It makes you wonder what would have happened if he ate the Sukuna finger himself. That may be a whole what if that I just thought of and I may need to start cooking on. Because that changes the series a lot. Because Sukuna could never execute his plan then. Like, ever. Like, ever. Like, he would just be stuck out of luck, which would be very, very interesting. I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued. I'm gonna have to write about that. That's gonna be fun. However, with that being the case, obviously what broke Megami's soul was the revelation that his sister was, for all intents and purposes, dead and gone. She was not someone who awakened the curse technique. She was someone who was taken over by a previous sorcerer. And that was the weakest his soul has ever been. And admittedly, he's had a pretty weak and damaged soul for a while now. I'm assuming if Mahito were to run a scan on him, he's probably running at a cool 50%, destroying his own morals, fighting for his life, losing people he cares about, essentially his father figure getting sealed away, constant worry for Samuki in the first place. Bro was obviously not running on a healthy mindset or a healthy soul set, so obviously that final break was just what Sukuna needed to get up in Megami's guts and then take over his entire body. And we see... just like Sukuna would, because it's Sukuna, he's gotta look drippy above all else. Like, he can never look sauceless. The King of Curses must always have the exaggerated swagger of a young cursed teen. And we see that he slicks his hair back, throws his hand out, and is like, yes, his fresh meat feels fantastic. I just love the smell of fear. I can't do that. I think I could. I think I may actually be able to do that voice. I'm gonna listen to a few more of Death's lines and see if I can mimic that, because I would love to add that voice to my repertoire. It is such a good voice. But regardless, we do get to see that as Sukuna is breathing in the fresh air through new nostrils, Itadori is I guess he's holding out hope. Like, admittedly, I don't blame Itadori here. Like, maybe his only option was to just flat out start running, because in this situation, like, unlike Megami, who had a hypothetical answer in Maharaga, Itadori has nothing. Like, even if you believe he still has cursed energy because, Sukuna and absorbing him just awakened his own flow of cursed energy, even if you believe that, what technique does he have? Is he going to Divergent Fist Maguna? I don't think so. I think that's pretty much impossible. And of course, he's in shock horror, considering bro's missing a whole finger and it's throbbing and stinging, and he sees his best homie, the one that he knows for a fact was still alive, unlike the other best homie, Nobara, is standing there with his hair slicked back and a few markings on his face. So I can't blame Yuji for having announced his paralysis, but darn, dog. Like, I just feel bad for him. Like, and I know, that's part of why he's my favorite new gen protagonist. Like, I consistently just feel bad for bro. He's consistently just fighting. He's always fighting an uphill battle. But, like, now it's got to be personal. Like, someone like Itadori had to have existed in Gege's life, and for that very reason, Gege has decided that they're going to make the incarnation that is Itadori Yuji suffer horribly. Like, why, dog? Sukuna didn't even grow the finger back, and Sukuna, after looking at him with the calmest, smoothest, and most swaggerlicious smile ever, like, legit, Sukuna, he doesn't necessarily look all too ominous here in this bottom left panel. He's just kind of like, I don't have to do this, but I really, really want to. And he proceeds to put his fist so deep into Yuji's chest. Like, golly gee willikers, man. Why? Like, what? I'm legit wondering, like, what? This was motivated. Obviously, it was motivated. But, like, dog, there was no reason to do this. In fact, Like, keeping him alive to watch as you mess around with his friend's body probably would have been worse. Sukuna, you blasted him through buildings. Like, straight up, hit him so hard he went. The thing is, Itadori's already heavily battle damaged. His pinky's gone. That's gotta suck. Imagine losing a finger right now. And then imagine getting your stomach punched so hard that not only do you cough up a portion of your life juice, but also it looks like the energy straight radiates through your darn body. Like, I'm confident Sukuna broke his spine as he punched him through a whole building. Like, what in the world, man? Is it really that deep? Is it really that serious? It's not like he wanted to be a vessel for you. It's not like he wanted to be a cage. Leave him alone. So, like, any of my theory, I feel like maybe he could get up. Maybe he awakens RCT right now, and that's how he heals up, because he's under such stress. And then, like, he finally, like, this could hypothetically be the moment for Itadori. This may just be the moment as he's sprawled out on the ground, laid up in the remains of a building. Maybe, just maybe, this is where he finally breaks. Like, notably, Itadori has broken before. Like, we saw that when he lost Nobara. We saw it earlier, way earlier in the series when he lost to the Finger Bearer. We've seen Itadori break before, but I'm not talking about a break where he just gives up and is like, well, you know, I just can't do it anymore. I'm done, good night. And he just immediately perishes. I'm thinking it may finally be that time, indubitably and unbelievably, that he awakens like Gojo awakened against Toji. Like, everything, all the chips are down. Everything's against the wall. He is literally losing his life as we speak. And then, what does he do? He just snaps. Instead of saving people, instead of helping people, instead of doing any of that, he's just 110% done. And then he opens domain expansion. Like, legitimately, I don't know what he could do now. Because even if, like, we go with the most generous interpretation of this and be like, yeah, Sukuna left his body, but he still somehow has all access to all the excess curse energy Sukuna was providing him, so he could still do things like Divergent Fist and all that. Like, he still was, like, a high grade 1. He never cracked the special grade ceiling. Like, he's still stuck there. So with that being the case, like, even if he were to get up and have all that energy, what is he gonna do in a fight? Like, he still should be below Maki in terms of scaling by a definitive long shot. And I'm not even sure how useful Maki's going to be now. Because if Sukuna's like this, like, he's casually punching people through buildings, even in a weaker vessel. Like, the thing is, Itadori had really good base physicals. Like, remove Itadori's curse energy and remove Megami's curse energy, and Itadori's winning 10 out of 10 times. But Megami, who's someone without those insane base physicals, still managed to do this to Itadori when Sukuna was possessing him. So honestly, I don't know how Yuji could be useful unless he gets some crazy mental break, next level domain maximum technique. Like, he needs some sort of amp in order to even be relevant here. Because, like, I just don't know what we do. And with that amp, can't just come a technique or a domain. He needs RCT. Because he's literally, I assume he's literally bleeding out right now. Like, I don't think he's going to be able to just get up without someone healing him or him healing himself. Which is very rough, so I don't know. Itadori's in a really rough spot. Either he awakens, snaps, and goes crazy, or he lies there and hopes that everyone else does something. I don't know. Knowing Gege, it may just be the latter. However, of course, with Itadori getting knocked through multiple buildings, Maki and Takaba are like, huh? Because they weren't even close enough to see the whole Yorozu, Angel, Megami, Sukuna, Itadori interaction. They weren't even there. But obviously all that commotion grabs both of their attention. Maki is caught off guard, but she doesn't seem to sweat or anything. But Takaba, our GOAT, the true mightiest in the verse, he's sweating. We may be in trouble, boys. However, we do get to see that Sukuna apparently immediately notices them. And, like, I hypothetically get him noticing Takaba because Takaba has cursed energy. How the heck does he notice Maki? I mean, maybe he just knows they're there because of Megami's memories, and he was obviously chilling in Itadori's body. But, like, it seems like he very specifically reacts to their presence. And I don't know, maybe he probably senses Soul Splitter. That may be what he senses. And he knows that Soul Splitter is attached to the Zenin girl. So he probably is like, oh, wait a second. She's coming this way, and that weird comedian fella's coming this way. I bet. Let's do this. And then he does something bonker. Like, here's the thing, right? Megami's curse technique, on a fundamental level, is already pretty broken. Do I think it is as insanely broken as something like Limitless or Cursed Spirit Manipulation or Mimicry or anything like that? No, I don't think so, personally. I just think while the 10 different utilities is good and Maharaga is still extremely good, obviously, like, the ability to adapt anything is amazing. When you have things that let you, like, break space and time on an atomic level, when you have things that allow you to just copy your ability to make 10 different Shadow Shikigami alongside a massive, powerful Shikigami of your own, and or you have the ability to have literally infinite Shikigami, all you have to do is eat some balls. Yeah, I'm not cutting that out. But yeah, all you have to do is take a quick munch, and then bada bing, bada boom, you could literally have 10,000 of the 10 Shadows technique, all with varying abilities. I don't think 10 Shadows was the most broken thing, but I guess it was just in the wrong hands. Like, it truly just wasn't with the right person. Because you know what Sukuna does? After saying, no matter which era, insects always spring up out of nowhere, which is very interesting. I do like that idea. Like, Sukuna, through all his different experiences as a human, as a curse, incarnated through Itadori, and then now incarnated through Megami, has such an interesting perspective. Like, he's not as active as Kenjaku. He doesn't, like, run around doing a whole bunch of planning and stuff like that. He kind of just exists in his fingers. But with that being the case, we see that Maguna decides that, you know what, I'm kind of feeling myself. You know what, I might as well do what I do. I'm going to do my little dancey dance. And he puts his fingers together. And that signal very much reminds me of, oh yeah, that's Nue. And the thing is, right, Nue was marginally big. Enough to carry Megami. The guy dwarfs the building. Like, his whole wingspan of this ugly, dum-dum Thunderbird is literally taller than the building he's perched on. What in the world? And, like, the thing is, Nue was not the biggest Shikigami that Megami had access to. Not even close. Max Elephant was bigger. Maharaga was bigger. What are we gonna, like, legit, what do we do? Obviously, we have something that happens later on in this chapter that shows us what we do, but, like, since it looks like by the end of this chapter, that option is going to be off the table. How do you win? Like, legitimately, I had faith. I will tell y'all for a fact, I had faith in Kashima. I had faith in Yuta. I had faith in Akari. I had faith in Maki. I had faith in all these characters coming in and throwing paws. Really getting their hands dirty. And getting all up in Maguna's guts. Really showing them, hey, you shouldn't have made a mistake like that, buddy. You just are not him. You may be him, but you aren't him. But no, just by seeing this Nue alone, and seeing the massive thunderbolts it can drop, I don't know. What is Kashima's curse technique? How crazy is it that he's going to be able to do something against this? What is Jackpot Akari really strong enough to punch this thing? Even if it is, you say like Jackpot Akari is strong enough to send this thing flying with a punch. Is he gonna send Max Elephant flying? Remember, in Chimera Shadow Garden, it actually allows Megami to get like the proper dimensions and stuff like that, the proper weights of these things. Considering Sukuna's much higher level of skill with the technique, or at least raw power, immediately in comparison to Megami, I think it's entirely possible that instead of having, like a 10-ton Max Elephant, you're going to have like a 10,000 ton and a million ton Max Elephant. Because if Nue is this big, what is Max Elephant going to be? How big is Maharaga going to be? Like, seriously, think about it. How big is Maharaga going to be? Because he was at least twice the size of Nue. At a bare minimum, he may have been 3 times the size. Maharaga was huge when Megami was summoning him. Maharaga may dwarf the city. Like, this is upscaling. Like, just this summoning alone, upscaling insanely. Like, someone needs to calc how much energy it would be for all these lightning bolts to rain down from the sky. Like, I need it. People calc it. And someone needs to calc the speed feat of Hana appearing, activating her light, and shutting down Sukuna's curse technique before the lightning bolts can even hit the ground. Those are 2 calcs I need immediately. Give them to me. I need the calcs. I want to see, because the verse just got way strong. Like, I legit already want to redo the Kurama versus Megami battle. Not Kurama versus Megami. The Kurama versus Maguna battle. I want to redo it now. Because it doesn't get much different. Because Kurama still scales way higher. But even still, it just gets way more. Like, this is a Biju size threat. Like, this is literally a tailed beast without a tail. Oh, well, actually, no. No, it does have a tail. It literally is just a tailed beast. Like, it's straight up the size of one. It's insane and the thing is, Maguna does this casually. This does not seem to take any effort from him. It's just something he does with a quick hand sign. What? Bro's not even flexing yet. Can you imagine if his Shikigami get the properties of his other techniques? Like, he could use Cleave and Dismantle on top of these Shikigami. So you have the Divine Dog not just slashing with their claws, but like literally negging your durability by adjusting to it with a Cursed Energy Cleave slap. Like, dog, Maguna is snap. Gojo got his work cut out for him. What can I say? Because it's even with our Lord and Savior, the strongest in the verse, Takaba himself, looking up at the lightning dropping down from the heavens and shivering and shaking in his boots. Takaba, quick, find something funny, dog. You gotta find Gojo being right next to you funny. They should explain to you who Gojo is somehow and have him being right next to you and like a billion times stronger. Hilarious, so it can happen. We need you to break reality real quick. Even Maki, a character who has pretty much surpassed fear up to this point, someone who's kind of pushed beyond their limits and their perspectives and their limitations as an individual, is looking on with absolute terror. Because of course she would be. This is literal lightning bolts the size of cars dropping down from the sky from a gigantic bird that's bigger than the Empire State Building. I'd be terrified too, even if I was a Heavenly Restriction user. Jeez, Maguna is bonkers. However, Anna and the Angel are just a bit more bonkers, if you know what I'm saying. Because she really comes out the clutch. Like, straight up, this is the play of the game in terms of saving the verse. Because before the lightning bolts can even hit the ground, Hana shows up with her holy light shining in the heavens. Has Sukuna, a character who we've seen a lot throughout the narrative, but never actually seen shocked or terrified or in dismay. He legitimately looks up at the holy light and has a look of terror on his face. Because Hana ain't playing games. She immediately apparently shut down all the lightning because there's no damage later on in the chapter. She immediately shows up, and just her presence, like straight up, her legitimate presence, is enough to have Sukuna needing to shield his eyes and start getting burned away. She has not activated her technique. She has done nothing but exist, but her very presence, and she's glowing, negated Nue's existence and stopped the lightning bolts, which is legitimately bonkers. Like, that Nue right there could solo a majority of the verse. Like, legitimately, it existing could solo a majority of the verse, and Hana just casually negged it. And the thing is, right, you may think, oh, well, you know, Hana, she may be strong, but it's mainly because of her technique to stop other techniques. Like, she doesn't actually have any, like, raw stats or anything like that. But we'll get to that. However, it is very interesting to see that even in the face of literal death itself, like straight up death, Megumi or Maguna is like, oh dear, unlike that brat and I, those two coexist with each other. So with Angel's help, she could recover faster from unconsciousness. And Sukuna, you do realize you punched a living, breathing man through multiple buildings. I doubt that was quiet. Like, hypothetically, one, it is cool to learn that, like, due to the symbiotic relationship instead of the parasitic relationship that Hana and Angel have in comparison to Sukuna and Itadori, they're actually able to help each other out. Kind of like, once again, breaking up Naruto a whole bunch, but like the Bijou and a perfect Jinchuriki. Like, they're able to assist each other and get out of certain situations that the other couldn't do alone. That's neat. That's very, very nice. I wonder if we're ever going to get, like, a meeting of the two of them and, like, them setting up this contract in particular, because I think it'd be interesting to see. It reminds me a lot of, like, the Seven Deadly Sins contract that the Archangels make whenever they fuse with the human. Like, the ability to do certain things within limitation as long as they say okay. Because in Seven Deadly Sins, if your host doesn't say okay, at least for the Goddess Clan, they can deny you. Like, you just won't be able to get their body no matter how powerful you are. But it seems like Sukuna and Megumi have much more of a, like, Fraudrin and Hendrickson situation where they just immediately get slurped up by the mightier presence, which is very, very interesting. It goes to show, like, the comparisons between, like, the dark one and the light one, how one relies on contracts, rules, and orders, while the other one is just taking advantage of any rules and orders that they have. And we see that Hana is, like, this is very interesting, because Hana seems to be partially in control. Like, they're in a symbiotic relationship, but it seems like Hana is somewhat doing things involuntarily, because she's saying, Angel, wait, Megumi still, which implies that she's not actually glowing on her own. Like, Hana may have, like, somewhat hijacked the body and forced her to activate Divine Light or whatever this is, because she doesn't want to do it. She's clearly not doing it, but she is manifesting Angel's weapon, or the trumpet, and she is glowing. And we see that Angel does seem to be in some sort of control, because she's like, it's too late now. It's him. It's the Fallen. Which implies that Hana's kind of just stuck out of luck. Like, Angel's gonna do it no matter what. But seemingly enough, Angel's control is not perfect, as we see by the end of the chapter. She still is, or they still are, somewhat guiding Hana's actions. And we see that Angel, in an attempt to get Hana to work with her, which is something that I did highlight in my whole little theory video of how JJK could go on with the fight with Maguna. The idea that Hana's own reluctance to fight Megami would hold her back from the situation, but Angel, in an attempt to get Hana about the business, is like, hey, before he take root, I cannot English, my apologies. I'm an angel, I'm not a human. Before he takes root further into the body, we must tear the two apart and extinguish him. We need to take this gamble, please! And with that being the case, it's interesting. So maybe Megami could be saved. And it seems like if Hana had hypothetically just like and like sprayed, like hard proper spray, not like this little light drizzle that she ends up doing on him, but like straight up opened the Splagaki and just started like everywhere, then they could have actually saved Megami here, because Sukuna's so new to the body. He's been in the body for a solid 2 minutes at most. Like if that. He's really just been there for maybe a minute at most, which is crazy to think about. So hypothetically, Hana could have saved Megami's life, but she may or may not have fumbled. But speaking of this raw power, this insane ability of Angels that may just make her top 1 in the verse, she says, or I guess this is the incantation, "Oh, radiance, radiance which purifies all things, evil, hatred, and misery, extinguish them all, guide them, oh radiance, to thy right path." Jacob's ladder. Yo, like, I ain't gonna lie to you, dog. She may just beat Gojo. Like, unless Gojo's speed may be higher and he may be able to be like, blah. But if she just has, like, a presence that negates her curse techniques, which seems to be the case, because notably, once again, before she even activates Jacob's ladder, or before it gets properly activated and the beam comes down, the new way is just gone. Like, in this shot of the city that we get, we would be able to see it. It's not like it was a tiny little bird anymore. I think it was gigantic. So it appears she just made it disappear by simply existing. So her presence negates curse techniques. And notably, she's nowhere near Sukuna. Like, she's straight up a whole couple stories above him when her shining light negates his technique. So I don't think Gojo could win. I think he legitimately just loses. Hana is now top 1. Like, at least in terms of matchups, she bodies everybody. She's essentially Zeldris, but better. Because, like, Zeldris couldn't just negate your magic by breathing around you, but he could negate your magic by, like, tapping you. He could seal it away and stuff like that. Hana seems to shut down your curse technique by just existing and being bright, which is crazy. And the thing is, once again, we see Sukuna looking up in shock as Jacob's ladder drops down. This big old beam of holy light blasts down, and it starts annihilating Sukuna. Like, legitimately, he is screaming in what looks like proper agony. We have never seen Sukuna this down bad. Even in the fight with Gojo, he was not this down bad. But no, Hana's Jacob's ladder, this holy light, tears Maguna apart. It is crazy. She's gotta body slam Gojo. And admittedly, once again, maybe not, because this is not 20 finger Maguna. At most, it's 15 finger. So there still are 5 more fingers. Maybe Maguna could resist this better if he had his full power. But even still, I don't know. If Hana, who's mentally nerfed, which we know still affects you a lot in JJK, who's mentally nerfed and not wanting to really hurt Megami, I think if she was, like, properly, bloodlusted, I think she would just body bag him. Like, I think this would legit just be a proper GG, and that's it. Because the damage is wild. And we see Hana's not even properly focusing, because as Sukuna or Maguna is screaming in agony because they're being burned alive, Hana's just screaming, give him back, as she's tooting the horn at the same time. Meaning, if she was just focusing on tooting the horn, I think Megami would have actually been freed. And we see she's crying tears of agony as she's doing this to Megami, because obviously she loves him. She really, really cares about him. So there's no way she'd ever really want to do this to him, but she just had to do it to him, you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. She just really had to do it to him. And we see that Sukuna's a smarter man than most, because knowing that Hana has feelings for Megami, he plays her. He goes, Hana, I remember now. I generally don't know how. Like, does cursed energy give you amped hearing or something? Because like she's still way above in the sky, so like I'm kind of shocked she's even able to hear him. Because it doesn't look like he's yelling or anything. He goes, Hana, I remember now. Thank you. Everything's all right. Now, obviously, it's not. Like, there's an ever-evolving debate in the community on whether or not people can see the markings on Maguna and or Itadori. What would we call the Itadori-Sukuna fusion? Citadori? Yeah, like, on Citadori and Maguna, there's a constant debate going on, even though the debate is literally cleared by one panel in Shibuya where Jogo says, oh, good, the markings are still there. So, obviously, they can and will see the markings. So the fact that Hana falls, I mean, I get she's desperate. I get she's unbelievably desperate and didn't want to hurt Megumi in the first place. But like the fact that one, he spontaneously heals, even though you should know at this point that Megumi does not have RCT, for one. And two, the fact that the markings are still blatantly there. And by the time she gets close enough in munch range, she's legit. All the markings are back at full strength too. Like, Angel warns Hana, no, Hana, don't! Which is obvious. Like, Angel, if you did have any control over the body, you should have taken some here, because golly, you willikers, man. But the marks are back full on, the hair is still up and looking swagalicious, and Hana goes in for the hug, and she's like, and we see Angel still yelling out, Hana! Because Maguna's going in for a munch. Never forget the true nature of a curse. And we have a break next week. Darn, dog. I can't take all these breaks, Gay. I can't say that. Like, to be fair, Black Clover and MHA are on a double break this week. Both of them are. So there'll be no reviews of that this week. But still, jeez. JJK, as much as I will admit, it is pushing through at a lightning pace, like even faster than the series was going before. Don't get me wrong, the series was already a pretty fast-paced series. I know that's weird to say for a series that's over 200 chapters, but like for how much story happens in the limited 200 chapters that we have, it was already pretty darn fast. But we are definitely speeding through. Like, you can definitely tell Gege's just tired of drawing. Because the velocity that we're going right now is bonkers. Like, legitimately insane how quick we're moving through the story. But even still, that's a difference between My Hero Academia and JJK, is that when JJK picks up the pace, it's still good. It's still amazing. It's still literally manga of the year. I'm still loving it. But with MHA, when it picks up the pace, I'm kind of like, let's not do that. Which goes to show that I need to do a video on JJK versus MHA and see which one I like better, just quantifiably giving it like a point system or something. However, with that being the case, obviously, we may just be in the bad timeline. Like, I don't see a way for the cast to win if Hana gets eaten here. Legitimately. There's literally no way. Because if Sukuna gains the ability to negate curse techniques, or even if he doesn't, without Hana there to negate Sukuna in some way, shape, or form, how do you win? How do you win? Unless Sukuna himself decides to be stupid and let Gojo out of the back of the prison realm himself, or our Lord and Savior Takaba releases Gojo from the prison realm and proceeds to 2v1 Sukuna. I don't know how we win. I legit don't know how we get not even a happy ending, a decent ending, a lukewarm ending. Because Sukuna would literally be unstoppable. He has the 10 Shadows technique, which we've already seen before he even summoned like a top tier Shikigami. Bonkers. Cracked. Like, knew it was gigantic. Can't wait for Maharaga. Can't wait for Max Elephant. Can't wait for the unrevealed Shikigami that we still don't know about yet. Megami hasn't mastered or tamed all of his Shikigami, so he still has a way to go, and Sukuna probably has that knowledge. So with that being the case, there's still so much more that can happen with Sukuna on the 10 Shadows technique alone. That's excluding Cleave, excluding Dismantle, excluding the fact that he may have 2 domain expansions now, or the ability to merge domain expansions, and or he may have a maximum technique we haven't seen yet. He still has a fire technique. He still may have other techniques we haven't seen. Like, legitimately, Sukuna is a walking calamity already. So if we lose our only card against him, I legit don't know how Gege could do it. I just don't know. So I do think this is going to be interrupted. I don't think Sukuna's going to go for the munch, or he's going to get the munch. He's going to try to, but maybe Hana will dodge, or maybe Takaba will show up and negate it somehow, or Maki will soul splitter the head off or something. Like, legitimately, I have no idea, but I love that. And I'm very excited to see what's going to happen next time. So Please tell me what you guys think about this chapter in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure that little notification bells to miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below. You support for as low as $1 a month. Links, exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Now, thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off.